Okay, so I'll discuss what I have been working on. If Jason join, I might need to repeat some of it because it is related to him. Uh, so we last week we had discussed about the registration value in the prototype. So in the prototype, currently registration value is being forced. There is also an issue in GitHub related to that. So there is an issue related to that, and we had discussed it. So I had taken an item for me to check if there would be any issue in removing that because we would not want to force a registration value. Currently, a random registration value is being forced. So when a random registration value is forced, the issue is that resume feature stops working, and even completion would not work based on the past values. So what I have done in the code is I have removed that, and now if the registration will be passed to the video, only then that registration value would be registered. Otherwise, registration value would not be passed to the LRS. So when registration value is not there at all, it would be like a fixed registration is there. So yeah, in the future, if again without a registration the video is launched, the past data will be tracked based on no registration provided.
Okay.
So
All right. So the assumption is if there is no registration data, then all data is related.
yeah, so
Okay.
all data with no registration is related.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is working fine. I did discover two issues when doing that. So one thing that was happening was that paused was not sent just after the completion. Uh, so far the profile says that at the end of the video, whenever you pause or whenever you end the video, a pause statement should be sent. But when the completion was happening, two things were different from the earlier version of prototype. Earlier, what was happening is as soon as completion was happening, a completion statement would be sent. So even if the user was playing content and Alice,
Hello, Alice.
uh, yeah, so we were discussing about some of the issues that we had with the current prototype that we have. So I was discussing that with John and telling him what I had discovered, and there were a few changes made recently, and due to that, some issues has come up. So less I was discussing it with John. So yes, what is happening is earlier what was happening if let's say you complete the second half first and then you come back to the first half,
Right.
what would happen is as soon as you cross the midpoint, that is when you have actually consumed the entire video, a completion statement would be sent in the background. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
and then wherever you stop, let's say you stop somewhere in 3/4 or maybe at the end, at that point of time, a paused statement would be sent. And if
Okay.
possible, a terminated statement. But now what is happening is when when the completion actually happens, that is you're going through the video, a completion statement is not sent at that point of time. It is being sent when you pause the video or stop the video, and only the completion is sent, a pause is not sent. So it seems some code change was made based on what I see. Maybe if you don't know, maybe Jason knows about it. So we need to
Probably.
understand why that change was made and if there is a reason we need to keep that. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
would probably need to revert it.
I don't remember us discussing that, so I'm guessing that's an unintentional side effect, unless it looks like it was intentional. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I haven't contributed code since I think the initial
Yeah.
version, so pretty sure it wasn't me. But I don't remember us discussing it, so hopefully Jason will know.
Yeah, so if in this case you see that it was played at this time, and
Mm-hmm.
then the completion actually happened somewhere here, and the completion statement was sent at 17.857. But the actual completion happened somewhere in the middle at 8 seconds. But the completion statement is sent at 17 seconds, and a pause statement is not sent. Now, the problem when pause statement is not sent is that when the video is launched again next time,
Yeah.
it would check the pause statement for what has been done. So
Right.
it would fetch this pause statement which is here. So this status is fetched at that point of time, and
I
based
don't,
on this.
Pankaj, I don't see your screen. So it sounds like you're trying to point to stuff on your screen. But just so you know, I don't see it.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. So I'll save my screen. I thought I'm saving my screen. Thanks for pointing it out. Are you able to see now?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
following you
So
though, so I think we're still good.
okay. So in this completed statement, if you see that completion would happen when this overlap starts at 8 seconds,
Yeah.
but the pause happens at 17.9 seconds around, and
Mm-hmm.
at the point of the time when the pause happens, at that point of time this completion is sent, that is at 17.857, and there is no pause. So the last pause that was recorded was at this status. If you see this heat map, you can understand what was at the
Yeah.
last pause. So next time when I launch the content, it starts at where the last had happened,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Cool.
then again same thing happens, and then again another completed is sent. So we would need to make sure a pause is sent, and we would need to. It is not required that completion is sent at exactly the time when completion happens, but it would be good to be sent at that point of time.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not sure why. I mean, I suppose you could queue stuff, but otherwise, I'm not sure why you would
Yeah,
wait.
so this is one thing I discovered. I think Jason would know better about that. Apart from that, what I had done was
So, do you have these changes in a branch already? You want to wait to do a pull request until we've talked about why the change happened to begin with?
I haven't created any ticket so far, so I'll create a ticket for it, and I haven't made any pull requests. So whatever changes I have made, it is in my local. I just did it like 10 minutes back.
Okay.
So after the
Yeah.
meeting, I'll send a commit.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
sort of a rationale from Jason as to why the change was there. I mean, I would say let's just incorporate the code, but yeah, we can.
Yeah, so for this specific issue, I have not reverted the code or I have not made a change. I'd probably discuss with Jason before making that change.
Okay.
Uh, and then I also looked at another issue that we had seen somewhere. That is, the CC enabled value was being sent as undefined. Uh,
Oh, I
so
remember that. Yeah.
So I think that was happening because CC enabled value was not there for some reason. I don't know what was happening. But today when I tested with the current code, it was a false was being sent. So I
Hmm.
haven't tested it with true, but a false was being sent. So undefined was not there. And what additional thing was happening was, if you see in this one, CC enabled is false, and CC subtitle language is also being sent. So when CC is not enabled, this subtitle language doesn't make sense and it is blank. So this extension should not be sent when it is not enabled. When CC enabled is false, this should not be present.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I have made that check and I have removed this part.
Cool.
So so
Way to go,
if you
you.
see, yes, if you see in this one, that's subtitle language is not there.
Awesome.
Um, so apart from that, there was this registration thing I already told you. So I have made that change related to registration, and then there was one more thing: result duration. So far duration we were not sending on completion. That was one of the requirement of profile, but we were not doing it. So I have added the code so the duration is sent. So in the last statement, if you see this time spent is there.
Yeah.
So this duration is being calculated and being sent along with the
Nice.
completion statement. Now, when I was doing, looks like there is a bug, so I'll fix this. It is just sending these seconds. It should be P and then second value and then S. So that string should be there. So
Right.
yeah, I'll fix that. So I
Great. Those
found,
good additions
yeah,
or fixes,
I
I guess.
found two other issues when doing this. So if you see this, yeah. So if you see this played segment,
Mm-hmm.
you can see 0 to 2.5 seconds,
Yeah.
and then second segment you see 2.5 seconds to 0.
Oh, that's interesting. How did that happen?
I don't know. Yeah. So this odd segment is being added, which is odd. I would need to debug why it is happening. I haven't done that. And
Does that happen all the time, or was that just this? Is there something about this particular interaction?
yeah, I didn't try. So at least it happened in this instance. So it
That is
needs to
really
be
weird.
fixed. And this seed statement is being sent, which is a false statement. So this seed statement says 0 to 41 seconds,
Yeah.
which actually did not happen, and it is not. It is also not in the played segment. So this 0 to 41 seconds is not there in the played segment. It is not showing in the heat map, and it actually did not happen. But this extra seed statement came from somewhere. I don't know. So I found these two very odd issues when working on the duration.
I wonder if that one's like a weird artifact of somehow or another the seeker bar got set back to 0, and then when you move to 41, 248, like the queuing of them got messed up somehow of the statements that were being sent out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
possibly,
works.
possibly, yeah, possibly that. Actually, that could be the only reason, I guess. Somewhere this 0 is being set. Actually, too well. So it is very odd. Like why
Yeah.
this 0 is in two in the plate segment and it is from this. So whatever Seek is doing is not plate segments is not doing. So something odd is happening, but it should be related to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Some wrong value is being set at some wrong time,
Yeah,
and
I don't think
this,
I've seen that before, but that is weird.
yeah. So yes, so I figured out these two issues that we need to fix. And apart from that, I worked on few other things that we had discussed, some changes that we had decided to make on the chart that I had added. Yeah, so on this summary chart,
Fine, I'll pull it up.
we had decided that we'll move this session ID to optional. So session ID is so far optional. So I had earlier put it in required, so I moved it to optional now for all the verbs.
Okay.
I have removed the required and optional from extensions. So all these extensions that we have, earlier it mentioned required or optional. So actually, it was confusing uh, because extensions were required for specific verbs and optional for other verbs, or not uh, would not be applicable to some verbs.
Uh, yeah, no, I agree because I remember when I was going through making the first version of the templates prior to Jason filling them out with content. I had to do a lot of checking to make sure that all the extensions were right for the ones in which they were supposed to be in there. So yeah, this is cool. This is especially useful given, like I was mentioning earlier, that a lot of people who are interested in doing video data collection now have been exposed to the video profile, so this should be helpful to them.
Yeah, so this confusing thing is removed, and this chart, obviously, we had discussed in last meeting as well. This chart would simplify some of those things.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I have added completion threshold in the chart for completed and terminated. So I have added the threshold in the completed and terminated statement as well.
Okay.
Completed.
Completed. I'm sorry. What was the other one? Completed in what?
In the
Terminated.
completed verb and terminated verb, I have added this completion threshold. So completion threshold value is required if the value is less than one, and if the value is one, completion threshold is not a required extension.
Why do
That
we
means
need
if you
what? Why do we need it in terminated?
uh, terminated is the last statement in the attempt. So we had earlier put progressed and played segments there.
Yeah.
So we added this threshold also so that that one statement has all the information related to
Oh, I
the
see. Okay. All right. Okay.
progress.
I guess most of the xAPI enabled environments that I work with don't ever send a terminated statement, so I'm just not used to thinking about it. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's the thing you're going to look at last, in this
Yeah,
case.
so terminated, we have made it optional. So if someone wants to use it, they can use it.
Yeah, at this point, I'm usually just looking for the last paused statement more often than not. Sometimes the
Yeah.
last completed.
So yeah, so the last paused is a required statement. So even if terminated is sent, paused should be sent before a terminated statement.
Right.
So that
Okay.
that was a requirement. So paused is always a required thing.
Well,
Uh,
given the scenario where somebody is using terminated, which I think is any launched tool, right? Then that makes sense.
Yeah, so terminated was actually used based on what CMI 5 was doing. They had added this terminated and abandoned statement. So we had kind of borrowed this verb from there.
Okay. Cool.
So this was kind of meant to address situation where we are very sure that this user has stopped using the tab or the window, or the window is closed or tab is closed, or he has really stopped the video. Then terminated can be sent, or when there is enough reason to believe that the user has terminated, then the LRS can generate this LRS, or the LMS can generate this terminated statement on its own.
It looks like the templates have already been updated to match the completion threshold edition at least.
I haven't checked. We had discussed with Jason. He had made some changes earlier, and then
Yeah.
in last meeting we had discussed few other changes with Jason. So I'm not very sure if he has made these last few set of changes in the
Well,
template.
at least in the terminated statement, there is a completion threshold in the extensions. So if he got around to that, he probably got around to the rest of them.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, when he comes, I'll check with him if this was added. So for him, it was like paused, terminated, and completed statement should have the length of the video and the progress and played segments as a required item.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I don't have a lot more time, so there's a couple things I wanted to throw at you really quick before I gotta go. All this stuff looks good, man. So yeah, given Jason doesn't have any particular rationale behind the change of the code for the video.js script, then if you're willing to push your local changes up, that makes sense to me. And I like the new table. I think it, like I said, I think it would have been helpful when I was doing the templates originally, and I'm sure the people who get introduced to the video profile now will find it useful. But the things that I wanted to throw at the group, just to start chewing on this, is that because there has been a lot of interest in data collection around videos lately, especially as xAPI cohorts have been getting bigger. There's more and more people that are trying to use our profile and are having questions around extending it. So I think we may want to add something to the manual in lieu of this xAPI profile server whenever that gets done. That explains that either tells them, gives them a mechanism to share with us potential additions to the profile, or some guidance on how we would recommend, extending our profile to do other things that are relevant to their context. I don't think we should get deep into it because this sounds like content that would make sense for a course or instruction on profile development. But I think we might want to at least point some directions to people about what to do with that, because I've been getting that question a lot. Like, can we use your video profile? If we can, are we allowed to extend it, or should we make our own? Do we need our own pearls, or should we use yours? Like I get a lot of those kind of questions that seem like they should be obvious, but for people who haven't been exposed to the profile development process, just don't know what to do with it. So
Yeah, maybe we can write a line that you can use additional extensions based on your requirement to extend the profile.
yeah, for sure. And I'd really like for people to submit potential additions to the video profile if and I think our view would be is that if they are generalizable enough that they're useful to any video interaction, then
Yeah.
I'd like to add them to the profile. If they're context specific, then maybe we can get into a conversation of how we inherit things across profiles. But I want them to submit these ideas to us if we can get them to do it.
Yeah, so if anyone has questions, maybe you can ask them to post it in the Google group so we all can answer them. And there'll be a record of what kind of things people are interested in and will be interested in. We have already addressed some of the potential extension requirements.
Yeah. But do you know, I'm assuming that, I guess I've always looked at these profiles as an inheritance thing. I'm not sure, that doesn't seem to be the exact view that everybody else has. But I've always viewed it that if I was going to do contextually specific video stuff in my learning environment that was outside the scope of the video profile, I would use all of the video profile, including, like, how do I say this? So if, let's say I wanted to add an extension to the paused statement, is the logical thing to do there to put in the context activities category section a link to the URL, the URI for the video profile, and the URI for my video extensions that provides a description of what that extension is for example? I mean, I know that's what the Perl is for, but
so any extra information you want, you can add it in the extensions, and it would be based on what type of extension you want to add. So if it is related to context, you can add to context extension. If it is related to result, you can add it to result extension. So
right, but I guess what I'm saying is that if I extend the video profile to include more extension data, do I just link to the video profile within the category section of the statement, or do I also have my own documentation that I also put a URL down?
Yeah, so that is a very good question. So yes, if you are not doing anything that breaks what xAPI profile is intended for,
right.
You definitely want to add xAPI profile category. And then if you have your own profile, extended profile, let's say, you could add that category as well.
Yeah, so you would have multiple. Because even if it's in the context of maybe you don't add something to the statement, maybe you have a different pattern, right? That include statements that are part of the video profile and still compliant, but there's a structure to it that's unique to your context.
Yeah, so if you have created a separate category URL for yourself, you could add that and it would not break xAPI profile.
Yeah. So I guess like that's kind of one of the questions I've been getting quite a lot, and my answer to people has been what I just said to you. But I guess I wasn't totally confident that was totally the right answer. So it might be
Yeah.
useful to just kind of write that out, so that people can have that answer available to them. Again, in lieu
Yes.
until this profile server is up and there's maybe a little more
Yeah,
documentation.
if someone asks it in the group, I think then we will have a record of that question and that answer, and
Yeah.
then else will be able to find maybe easily.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta go start the other meeting.
Okay.
But this all
Yep.
sounds
So
good to me, and I'll sure I'll talk to you again soon.
yeah, sure.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Hi, Les.
Hi, Pankaj. I was just dropping in. I've been kind of following the group via notes for a long time, and I just decided to drop in and see what actually happens in the meeting. So
That's great.
maybe try to get a little more active in the group and understand what's going on. So just what I would call a strap hanger, somebody who just along for the ride at this point.
So are you using videos or video profile anyhow or in any way?
Actually, no, we're not. But we're going to be moving to a system that does have the capability, and we want to use it well. And especially when it comes to videos, because we're really embracing the video modality for learning.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just trying to learn and see where we could actually contribute.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we have been so far working on this profile since I guess 4 years now, and
Yeah, it's been a long time. I know I've
yeah,
been kind of following along in the, hiding in the brush and following along for a couple of years.
that's great. Yeah, so we have been kind of slow, I would say, but yes, we have been making progress steadily. And I think being slow has been good in some ways, that we have figured out some issues that we would not be able to figure out if we were faster. And it's good that now we have a very solid framework. And in terms of profile, I guess everything is figured out. It is ready to be released. We are just trying to fix some minor issues with the prototype that we have, so that if someone tries to implement it, it would be easier for them to either use the prototype as it is, or use it to understand how to write their own code for their own player.
Yes. Well, I found that I've been using learning management systems for quite a while now, and I found that understanding the underlying I'll say rules, the standards, is really useful in talking with vendors and trying to get them to understand our needs and how we think they should be implemented. So with us moving in the direction of more video, understanding what you guys are doing, I think can only help us in the long term.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, I'm actually a trainer.
Okay.
But I happen to be a trainer in the technical community, so I teach people how to use Java and utilities, and we're create web services, all those kind of fun things.
That's great. Yeah, so we have been using video tracking already with different profiles, but this profile prototype is kind of already functional. Um, there might be few adjustments that are required, but it is already functional. So even if you try to use the prototype, it could be used with existing LMSs that support Experience API.
Yeah. Well, we're moving to some total learn,
Okay.
and they claim to be xAPI compatible with their latest versions. So that's going to be interesting to see if they really are not.
Yeah, being xAPI compatible is not a very tough thing for an LMS. Now,
Well,
adding adding features for different type of content would probably need some additional work. For example, if someone wants to add support for video profile in the LMS, they would probably need to do a little bit of work. But just launching any content from, let's say, Articulate or Storyline or some other authoring tool, it might not be a big challenge for them.
yeah,
But yeah, but if they are able to do even that much, if they are able to launch content built using Articulate, let's say, you might be able to use this prototype as a content and launch your video and use video profile.
okay. Well, I appreciate your time and pointing things out to me. You may see me show up a few more times in the future. As,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just kind of writing along in the background, trying to learn at this point in time. So I don't know if I'd be much of a contributor, but I really would like to learn more.
Yeah, if you have any questions at any point of time, I believe you would have probably. So if you have any questions, you can ask, you can interrupt, and if you feel there is something wrong, you can point that out, and I think that would be a big contribution. So as you can see, there's not much of participation recently. So even if some issues are pointed out, or if there is some questions that come up, and it might point out to some issues that needs to be fixed. So even if you can ask questions, that would be great.
Okay. Well, I can ask questions.
Yeah. So that'd be a big contribution.
Okay. Well, Pankaj, I'll let you run off and probably do something more useful than talk with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys letting me just kind of listen in, see what you're looking at.
Yeah, no problem. It is always great to have you. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Well, take care. We'll see you next time.
Definitely. Bye.
Bye.